Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast live from the Xfinity Mobile Studios, presented by Xfinity, Doodat Dental, and TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Bo Wulf, EJ Smith, Fran Duffy, and we are here to talk about the return of Fred Johnson, the swing tackle extraordinaire. The Eagles sending a 7th-round pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and you gotta be thinking to yourself, who could have possibly seen this coming? Hit it, Julia.
Do you want me to give you a more headliners?
No, give me a goofy one. Let's
name a team in the AFC.
Oh, I know which one I'm gonna name because I saw it already. Give me the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Listen, Eagles need some offensive line help. We've been talking about it. They make a trade to get Fred Johnson back in the building.
Yeah!
And what they give up,
Big Fred,
is Matt Pryor and Eli Ricks.
Oh, I didn't see Pryor.
That's a win.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, that's why we did that exercise. Just for that. 31 shots, get one, and we got one.
Yeah, the compensation could have been a little closer.
No, we did. We ended up talking about the compensation, and I think we settled on a 6 would have been fair. We floated a 7th. We felt like, maybe the Jaguars don't do that. And not to telegraph how I feel about this trade, but yeah, I feel a little bit like wondering what happened with Fred in Jacksonville. You know,
go ahead and get ready. Yeah, give us your thoughts on the trade.
Yeah, so obviously the Eagles traded for Fred Johnson. The swing tackle position is one that we've spent a lot of time talking about in the last week. It was not as strong as it had been in years past, and Fred Johnson was the Eagles swing tackle last season and gave them a lot of quality snaps. So the fact that they sent a 2026 7th-round pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars in exchange for a quality swing tackle, again, I don't really know exactly what the Jaguars' evaluation of Fred Johnson was this summer, but I know what he looks like with the Eagles and with Jeff Stoutland as his offensive line coach, and it is an upgrade for the Eagles. So really, when I saw the compensation, I was surprised that the Jaguars did it, and I think this really does shore up one of the few spots, especially on offense, one of the few spots that we have concerns with going into the Eagles regular season. If they need a tackle on either side for a game or two or in a pinch, in a reserve role. Again, we've seen Fred Johnson kind of fill all of those different roles for the Eagles over the last 2 seasons and really last season alone. I think it's a great move for the Eagles and very classic, like Howie Roseman move to, let the guy sign somewhere else in free agency. Obviously you give up the 7th to bring him back, but honestly, the value that he brings to the Eagles offensive line, having that reliable swing tackle, I definitely think that it's hard to argue with this trade.
All right, Fran, over to you. Why might Jacksonville not have valued Fred Johnson so highly? Is it fair to say he's a kind of a very specific type of player?
Yeah, I think that he is a specific type of player in terms of just his overall size. He's not the most athletic offensive tackle that you're going to get, and that's why I think the contract in terms of what he got on the open market kind of matched that. But the Eagles know what they're getting, and I think that that's certainty for a team that is, that has Super Bowl aspirations once again. You're going to pay for that certainty. And I think that's why this move does ultimately make sense for both sides. Jacksonville, where they're at with their team build, if you've got young players there on the roster, as you're getting down to this point in the calendar where it's like, we've got these guys pretty close. Would you rather have player X and a 7th or Fred Johnson? You say, all right, let's take the draft pick. Let's get another shot at a player next spring. And so I do think that's probably the primary motivation there from Jacksonville's end of things.
I do want to say that I think this is good process by the Eagles. You could argue, well, why didn't they just bring back Fred Johnson in the first place? Well, he signed for presumably a little bit more than they were willing to pay. And so they signed Kendall Lamb on the cheap. They signed Matt Pryor on the cheap. They use 6th-round picks on Cameron Williams and Miles Hinton. And you hope that between those 4 bets, one of them pans out and you feel good about moving on from Fred Johnson. You go through all of the summer, and it turns out that you don't feel good enough about those things. Kendall Lamb just didn't look good enough. Miles Hinton started strong and was a little bit iffy. Cameron Williams is certainly not ready to be a guy who is active on game day. And so, okay, you go back and you send a 7th-round pick. They've got all kinds of picks. It's a very meager price. This is good process by Howie Roseman. I think that has to be said.
Sad day for the Kendall Lamb hive.
Yeah, he really tailed off toward the end of the summer. I feel like we shared some intrigue in Kendall Lamb at the beginning of training camp, but by the end of things, I mean, the Jets game was really ugly for him. So yeah, no, I mean, I'm curious if you guys, maybe you looked it up before we got on here, but Fred Johnson played 480 snaps for the Eagles last season. Like that is a significant amount of snaps.
Yeah.
Played on both sides of the offensive line. Again, he gave them, I mean, in a few of those games, he gave them really quality play. Not necessarily like a bookend tackle. Like, of course, he's a swing tackle, a depth guy, but no, I really do. I think, I feel like I was almost a broken record how often I was talking about just not feeling great about number 6, 7, and 8 on the game day. Offensive line. Those reserve guys, and now you're telling me it's Fred Johnson, it's Drew Kendall, and Darian Kinnard. Like, okay, you can talk me into that group.
Well, let's think about that for a minute. I mean, we're going to get some answers here soon, but do you think that this means Matt Pryor doesn't make the team? Do you think Pryor still makes it? Who do you think is the person who gets pushed off the roster by this move? Fran, I'll start with you.
I haven't sent my 53 yet.
Smart move.
I think it's Darian Kinnard. But now Kinnard was on the very much on the bubble. I was going to go heavy at offensive line. I'll probably still maintain that number. But I think Pryor being inactive the other night, and it kind of goes to what we're saying about Fred Johnson. I think there's a level of certainty with Matt Pryor where they know what they're getting, especially with his versatility. With Darian Kinnard, I think I said this might have been last week. Like Darian Kinnard is hoping to be Matt Pryor. Like you're hoping to grow into that role. Is that like, big, powerful, like tackle guard swing player. You have that with Pryor. Now I'm thinking that Kinnard might be the odd man out there. Well, although actually, no, I take that back. It's probably Kendall Lamb. Although, did I have Kendall? I don't even know if I
didn't have
Kendall Lamb on my 53 at this point. So it'd be one of those two players.
I still don't know what to do with Brett Toth. It feels silly that they would keep him, but Stout is not wasting those reps. He got every single rep.
Yeah, I think he's like the perfect vested veteran that you bring back on the practice squad. I don't know. I think Pryor being inactive was surprising to me and probably does speak to the view they have of him in the building. But Darian Kinnard also offers some of that versatility. Like, I don't know. I think it's close between the two of them. I probably lean Pryor because I trust Jeff Stoutland's evaluation of these guys more and the fact that he didn't play. But I do wonder. I think that eighth spot is going to be interesting to keep an eye on for sure. I guess what I would say going into this. I think that this shuts the door on Brett Toth, though. I don't think that Brett Toth. I didn't have him on originally, and I definitely wouldn't have him on now.
The last thing I want to say on Fred Johnson, EJ, and I think you can speak to this well, is from the outside. I mean, Fred Johnson is like an ultimate vibes guy. On the field, he's doing great celebrations. In the locker room, he's all over the social videos. Guy loves the camera. If you were worried at all about the post Super Bowl vibes, Fred Johnson helps bring him back. Go ahead, Fran.
I'm telling you right now, and I'm being 1,000% earnest with this. The Eagles social team, there are people on that team that are shedding tears of joy tonight. Literally, someone calling ordering cakes delivered to the house. It is a celebration for the Eagles social media team tonight.
Yeah, he has an interesting story. I wrote about it last year. He has a really good perspective on life. He came from really difficult circumstances, basically a background in poverty, and had to overcome a lot to get to where he is, and struggled early in his career with self-belief and coaches that maybe didn't believe in him as much. And he talked about how, quite frankly, Jeff Stoutland changed his life, not only changed the trajectory of his career, but really changed how he views a lot of things and views himself in some ways. And, it was a really moving story about the fact that he had kind of gotten to the Eagles without ever having a coach really believe in him the way that Jeff Stoutland did, or at least not articulate how much that Jeff Stoutland believed in him. He had a coach in college that was similar, but really having that in the NFL seemed like it was kind of a breaking or a kind of an inflection point for him in his career. I think that is important to remember when you think about okay, what did he look like in Jacksonville, and now why is he, why do we feel so much better about him in an Eagles uniform necessarily compared to how he might have looked somewhere else. So yeah, I think it's a great fit, both vibes guy, but also for him as a player, I think he really has played his best football with the Eagles, and I don't think that was a coincidence.
That first press conference will be appointment viewing for Eagles fans. We do have a super chat to get to. Let's flash that bad boy up from Marty Bum. If Sam Howell got an emergency pod, there would have been riots. If Fred didn't get one, then we are here to serve, and the only thing we ask for you in return is to comment on the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, break into your friends' houses, open their laptops, and subscribe to the channel on those things. We don't care if you're doing it dirty. We need those numbers up. Okay, so
I kicked my family out. I kicked my family out for the emergency pod.
It's not a thing you admit on a Sunday night.
I mean that is definitely a strongly worded version of what actually happened. But I'm not sweaty, but if I get sweaty, it's because I had to dust my nephew in a race right before we came on here.
Wow, big flex.
I don't know if it's that much of a flex. He's 9. He's still working on the quick twitch muscles there.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you for being available. Thank you, Julia. I will see you in a couple hours when the Eagles trade for Isaiah Rodgers or whoever else it is, and we get back on the emergency pod saddle. So until then, thanks for watching, everybody. We will talk to you tomorrow at 2:00. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.